It's a critical matchup with the Sharks as the Mammoth look to get above 500 for the first time this season.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in once again to Locked On Mammoth. Thanks for making us your first listen when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team each and every single day. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robin Leaño. We thank you for being here. And on today's show, a critical matchup with the Sharks. We've got your game preview. We're going to get inside some more of the numbers. Robin's got some interesting stats to talk about. We're going to talk about the possibility of more line changes. Should they happen? Should they not happen? Is it time to be patient, or do we scramble it a bit? And stay to the end, because I'm giving away a pair of tickets to the game against the Bruins on Sunday. We're going to tell you how you can enter, but you got to stick with us to the end of the show. So, Robin, kicking it off with the Sharks game, I really think that I'm not going to say it's a must win, but I feel like it's kind of a must win this early in the season.
It is a must win. I mean, we you know how everyone loves to talk about how certain teams are and where they are in certain standings, right? You and I have talked about the Sharks not being a good team and where the Mammoth should be, quotes on paper. We haven't really seen about much of that on offense. And that's where this comes into place, right? You need to be able to take advantage of a game like this, where you're going up against a team who's not that good, and assert your dominance. It's the best way I can explain it.
Today's episode, by the way, brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Robin, I need to look at this game against the Sharks. Like you said, look, I don't think the Sharks have any illusions of who they are. They're a team that is building and on the rise, and they're going to get there, but they're young, and they're figuring things out, right? Mike Greer is doing a slow but steady look at a rebuild. And in a way, this Mammoth team is the team in front of them along the curve by a couple of years and a couple of drafts. Mm-hmm. So the Sharks look at the Mammoth as the place they want to be in a couple of years, ascending through the standings.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, say what you will. I think a lot of people predict the Sharks to be another bottom feeder team again this year, which they will be. I don't think they're going to be contending for Gavin McKenna. Maybe some people might say they will, but that's for a whole nother conversation. But there's still. You can still see the gaps in this team. That's still a very young team. And we know who Utah is at this point. We know, so we can see the clear differences between these two teams.
We can. The Sharks are 0-1-2 right now. And so they pushed 2 of the 3 games past regulation, Robin, and they've gotten a point out of those. So they're playing teams close.
Yes.
They're not getting those wins. That, to me, does that sound familiar? Hello, last year's Utah edition, playing teams close, getting to OT, not getting the second point.
Yeah, and I will say too, I think a little bit of the difference in that one is that team was getting a little bit lucky. I mean, let's take a look at who they played in those games. It was Vegas and Anaheim. In each of those games, they scored either 4 or 6, 7 goals. High scoring games, right? They looked like they were gonna run away with the win. All of a sudden, their defense collapses and they allow the game to go into overtime, and then they end up losing. And to me, that really shows you the level of inexperience that this team is. I took those games, Tom, as an observer. I watch as much games as I can. Among a lot of teams, of course, the Sharks is one I pay attention to a lot. They are my childhood team still. And I watched their game against Carolina earlier this week, Tom, where they lost 5-1. And to me, that's when this is the team I'm used to seeing. This is the one. This is what I expect to see more of when Utah plays San Jose tonight. I actually expect that kind of a game where it ends up going where the puck luck just isn't there anymore for San Jose. They had the puck luck for 2 games straight. They're not going to get it for 3 games straight, and they're probably not going to get it again tonight.
Robin, I'm not going to lie. I had to do a double take when I saw the goals against average and the save percentage. The goals against average looked like a bad ERA for a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. I said, wow, it 5.33 for a team goals against average. I know it's only 3 games, but that was shocking. Like defensively and goaltending wise, the save percentages aren't good either. This team, they look like they're giving up a lot of goals. And that's why we're going to talk later about the whole line changes and all that, whether or not those are necessary. But Robin, this is a team. This matchup almost comes at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And they're woes.
You need to come up of a team that can help boost your confidence. And this is the game to do it, right? This is the game that can help boost the confidence of the Mammoth offense and to be able to say, hey, we actually can do this. And again, some might say I might be acting a little bit overconfident here. And to be honest, Tom, I don't think I am.
Well, the thing that worries me, and because that's what I do, right? I'm always the yin to your super upbeat, positive yang, or yang, if you will. The Sharks are scoring 3.33 goals a game. And I know the Mammoth have not been letting in a lot, but it's felt like a lot of bend, don't break, and then hope your goaltender's there for you. And I want to see them get away from that. I want to see them reassure me defensively. I want to see them make me feel good and exhale to get the puck out of the D zone.
Correct. I mean, they are getting, they do have that in the points, in their points per game, which is, and I feel like those first 2 games, I think, created the skew in their in that stat, Tom, because I have it because I'll bring up a stat. This is something that we're talking about off the air. I'm looking at Money Puck, by the way, on where this team is, just to give you an idea. Shot attempts for, or Corsi, as I mentioned before, Corsi, for versus against per 60 minutes. The San Jose Sharks 4 per 60 is 43.48, and shot attempts against per 60, 76.08.
That's something.
They are spending well over the majority of their games in their own zone, which tells me that when they do score, it is a lot of puck luck.
Well, and maybe Jeff Skinner's got 2 of those goals, and any fan who's been a fan of a team where Jeff Skinner's been knows he's mercurial at best, but he's only got 2 goals, and that's team lead right now. So the scoring is well distributed. It's spread out through the lineup. But Robin, see, that's what, okay, let me reference the Calgary game. That's what worried me about the Calgary game, is that Utah was swarming and never pushed that lead to 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. Instead, Calgary just hung on, and then hung on a little more. And all of a sudden, in the third, they had a momentum shift. And that's what made me nervous about the potential to lose the game. I don't want to see that against the Sharks. You know what I mean? Like, okay, great. Right. We proved we can spend some time in the zone, but now it needs to be converted into goals for.
And you're right. And I feel like that's the kind of test that we'll see. Whoever they put in net for San Jose, maybe it's Askarov, but I don't know at this moment yet. But they have to be able to do the close on that. And as you and I mentioned, over the course of this week, Tom, it includes having to shoot on those high danger areas. Because another thing I found out is I was looking at, also I look at stats all over the place, right? I'm looking at NHL Edge, like Utah Mammoth is among the top 10, I think 10th among shooting from perimeter, but they do not shoot high danger. And again, that not to sound like I'm just, going crazy with it, but
stuff like that matters.
Yes, it does matter. It does.
I mean, that's why we bring it up on the show. And see, here's the thing. folks will say, oh, you guys are complaining about the same things. You're highlighting the same things. Or you're talking about the same things. Well, it's because they're not getting better. We understand and know what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we keep bringing it up. And when good things do happen, we also mention them, highlight them, and bring them up for praise. But right now, if this team wants to make the playoffs, Robin, and we're only in the first couple games of the year, these are all the important things that need to start falling into place sooner than later. Because really, by the time you get to game 20, there's not too much movement. There can be anomalies, but there's not too much movement. And so by the time game 20 comes around, you better be one of the teams at least fighting, if not in a playoff position.
No, absolutely. And the best way, you know, we can say that. Let's say we view the Mammoth as like in the conference, right? Based off, you know, like best team in the conference. Let's say they are 7th, 8th team in the conference, right? To that end, they have to consistently play like that, right? They can't what we see all the time. This is something that was actually pointed out in our comments, and we've mentioned it before, where the game against Colorado, they played up to them, right? They looked great against Colorado, which again, I would like, if they could play up, that's great. But then you have a game like the game against Nashville, like the game against Chicago, where it felt like they were playing down. Like I felt like they weren't really closing, where it felt like it was just being, it was just absolutely frustrating. And then we saw in Calgary, the game against Calgary, what we saw was like different periods where we saw aspects of that as well. We saw second period as an example. They were just swarming what they should have been doing. But then in third period, it was a drop off. It's the consistency, Tom, that we need to see across the board.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to talk about whether or not that consistency should include keeping the lines together, or if it might be time to scramble things up a little bit. Plus, don't forget, we are giving away a pair of tickets. Stay to the end of the show to find out how to enter. And that is for this Sunday's game against Boston. So, I mean, this is going to be a contest we're going to take care of in short order. So stay tuned for your chance to win. All right, today's show brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues and surprise fees and prices that just jump right before checkout, it's pretty easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. And that's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and most importantly, stress-free. Their zone deals I really like, because when you pick your section, Game Time just picks your seats. You can save big, and it just automatically highlights you and draws you to where those seats are. I've used Game Time in the past, baseball games, other athletic events, concerts, theater. You can use Game Time for a lot of different things. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying your NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Tom Callahan, Robin Leaño, this is Locked On Mammoth. Thank you again for making us your first listen each and every single day. We love you every dayers. In fact, there's going to be a special club and potentially 2 levels of said club. We're ironing out the details on that. But, Robin, we're going to have something to announce pretty soon for our dedicated listeners and viewers, the everydayers. It's pretty cool.
Can't wait to share it. Can't wait to share what we got going on for you guys.
Really, really cool. So, keep an ear out for that. And as I always ask, hey, if you're not subscribed to the show and you're still here already, what are you waiting for? It doesn't cost you a penny to subscribe. Go ahead and do that right now. Click that button, subscribe to this show. Let us know, interact with the show, whatever it is. Thumbs up on YouTube, send us a comment, track us down on socials. Let us know you're out there listening and you appreciate what we're doing. And hey, you know what? We read the comments. You guys don't always agree with us. That's fine. That's what we're here for. I like the fact that we have very good debates now. And you could tell the community's building here. You guys are building it, and I love it because you can see people talking to each other, not just us, and not just us talking to you. Everybody's starting to talk to one another now about their feelings about this hockey team, and that's great. I love that, and I want to see that continue to grow. So great job, everybody. We're talking about the Sharks game coming up here. Robin, I think it was maybe out of necessity or maybe coming off some power play or special teams time at the very least. We saw a little bit of line juggling. Some players, especially in the top six, because I made the argument before last game, leave the top six alone and let's see more on the bottom six. I felt like we got a little closer to that, but for a little while we saw some shakeups and some moving around. But my question to you is, heading into this game against the Sharks, this is going to be now for the Mammoth, who are 2-2. This is game number 5 of the regular season. Is that time to pull the plug on lines you don't like? Is it time to still let them grow together? What do you do? Do you make a move here?
And, that's a good question. And to me, I feel like if there's a line that works, you don't touch that line. And let them see what they are truly capable of, against a team like San Jose. But take some tweaks, take some minor tweaks and see, and just see what you can do to put out to ice your best team, absolute best team. And again, this is because I always say it doesn't matter if you're playing against the best team or against the worst team. I still want to see you put out your best, the best you can, and show what kind of hockey team you are.
And that's something that folks have mentioned in our comments about. They feel like the Mammoth sometimes play down to the level of the opponent when the opponent is beneath them. So that is always a concern.
It is a concern.
Can you avoid that by changing up the lines? Can you get some more energy in the lineup? I mean, even if you're going to bring in a player.
I mean, you and I have talked about the Gunther, Cooley, Peterka line, and it's a complicated thing, right? Because a huge chunk of you might be saying, hey, you know what? That's a good line. Let's not touch it because they've been doing the majority of the scoring, right? But you can also play devil's advocate. It's like, maybe could that be too much of a good thing because you need to spread things out? You also need to maybe they're also kind of figuring out the pace of things as a young line. We call them the young guns line, right? Maybe you need to swap one guy in and out, bring in a quote veteran player, and I mean someone who's been around at least a little bit longer to help be a general on the ice, right? Help kind of like dictate the flow of the game.
4 of the team's 8 goals have come from Gunther or Peterka. All the 8 goals have come from forwards. Nothing from the D yet. And we'll talk about the D in a minute. But Robin, I'm still in favor of let's give it this one more game. Give me a 5-game sample size of keeping the lines together. However, the thing is, when we talk about the goals that have been scored by this team, a couple of surprising stats so far. Now, Nick Schmaltz has 3 assists, but hasn't scored. Clayton Keller has 1 point in 4 games. That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
And also, Logan Cooley, 1 goal, but only 1 point in his first 4 games. Also kind of shocking to me. So we can say it's going, but really it's 2 players going, I think, in Peterka and Gunther. But Keller's not going. Cooley's not going. Schmaltz hasn't scored yet. I think he will, but at least he's setting some stuff up.
And that's where I'm kind of projecting the idea of getting breaking them up a little bit, right? Because they're on the same line, right? Gunther and Peterka are on the same line, and they're doing the majority of scoring. Because what are they? They're true goal scorers, right? But something's got to give, right? If you put, let's say, Peterka on the first line, right? You swap him up to the first line. Let's say you bring Schmaltz down, right? All of a sudden, now you have someone who, who's a goal scorer on that lineup. Not to say Keller isn't, because Keller very much is a goal scorer. So is Hayton. But you have a sniper in Peterka versus your playmakers and your two-way forwards in the other guys. So you need to be able to shake things up, see if that changes the point distribution. Maybe we see more points coming out of Hayton, out of Keller, out of Schmaltz, if we just do one little tweak.
That's interesting, because so far the only thing we had really talked about on the show was flip-flop and centers, because I think we saw it in the preseason. We're seeing it a little bit here in the regular season. There's a nice little chemistry between Peterka and Gunther, but that's not to say that there couldn't be between, Keller and Peterka or something like that.
We haven't seen that yet.
Right.
Really?
So, and I do like 11 and 77 together. I think it looks good. I think they're similar enough players where they kind of understand where the other guy is going to be. And that's why I think we toyed more with the idea of flip-flop in the centers. But now that you're talking about changing out the wings, look, if they don't get a 5 spot against San Jose, if they win it 1-0, 2-1, or worse yet, lose it 1-0, 2-1, then yeah. And look, if they haven't scored 2 or 3 goals by the midway point of the game, then I will talk to you about changing the lines, and I'm all for it. But I think they deserve a chance to get out there in the first period and start it.
Which is fair. And I feel like to me, I can be very, reactionary, right? I can be like, ooh, let's try this before it happens. But I'm also okay with the idea of, all right, let's keep how it is now. But if they don't, as what you're saying, right? If they don't do what we're expecting them to do tonight, then yeah, we got to change it up.
What about the D? I'll tell you what, let's talk about that in the next segment. And also stay tuned, because I'm going to give you the details on this ticket giveaway. It's for the Boston game on Sunday. We're going to tell you how you can sign up and how you can win.
And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it really makes my game day experience just that much more exciting. I love to play with so many different same-game parlays and player props, and tweak my lines a little bit to kind of maybe match my fantasy, see if I can double down on my Sundays, just to make that Sunday and just the experience of watching sports just that much more exciting. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
All right, we're back, Locked On Mammoth. Tom Callahan, Robin Leaño, thank you so much for sticking around with us here. We're going to get into talking about the defense and whether or not we should be changing things up there or not. And, of course, we're going to talk about this giveaway, the ticket giveaway. I have a pair of tickets for the game against Boston this Sunday. So, number one, if you can't make the game, please don't try to win the tickets. That's not cool. I want somebody to use these. I don't want they'd be like, hey, I won the tickets. How was the game? I don't know. I couldn't make it. I had a birthday party I had to go to. Don't do that. Don't do that to your fellow fans, okay? Also, to be clear, these seats are obstructed view seats. They're single goal seats is what they call them. But I have a pair of them and I want to give them away. So that's what we're going to do here. In just a moment. But again, if you can't make the game Sunday, please don't enter to win. We'll tell you how to do that in just a minute. But Robin, I do want to wrap up by talking about the D. What did you think? Probably the most glaring new pair had to be Sergachev moving up to the top pair with Sergachev. What'd you think?
It's interesting that we saw that. And it tells me a couple of different things. It tells me, they have a lot of trust in Sergachev. He's doing stuff right, right? Which is a good sign for a rookie defenseman in the National Hockey League. But also, B, what it's telling me is they are challenging Sergachev. They're telling Sergachev, hey, we want you to be a lot more responsible. We want you to help be the mentor to this kid, to help. So we want to see a good line out of you too. And what's interesting is, so far, as something you pointed out, we haven't really seen what we wanted to see out of Sergachev yet. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring that out from him. I don't know.
Well, Sergachev's defensive responsibility has been on the scale between 0 and non-existent. He really, I mean, he's made a couple of plays. Like, maybe that's a little harsh and unfair, but for the most part, he's given the puck away, not really covered in the D zone. And of course, he wants to step up. And the craziest quote, besides "there's nobody here to chirp my chickens," out of training camp from Sergachev, and he had both of them. The "chirping my chickens" was the number 1 quote for me, but the number 2 quote was, "I want to be more involved in the offense this season." And I said, what? How could you possibly be more involved in the offense? How about being more involved in the defense? He actually said this in training camp and media day. And I mean, I didn't say anything at the time. I just kind of shook my head, but wow. Okay. So,
you know, it's funny you bring that up, Tom, because, you know, on the theme of talking about the, you know, the current opponent, you know, for tonight in the San Jose Sharks, I remember a time in the 2010s, right, when there was an offensive forward who was playing for them and played for quite a while, and Brett Burns, right, offensive defenseman, where he was such enough of an offensive defenseman and defensive liability. What they did, they put him as a winger at one point. They actually put him as a forward, and I was like, wait, this is just weird. And to me, I'm getting deja vu moments, and I'm like, Sergachev, do you want to be a forward, or are you like, do you really want to be a defenseman? Like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, it's almost like they're playing the torpedo with the 4 forwards. That's really what it's like. And I'll tell you what, look, if you want a trial by fire for Sergachev to have to learn to play D, that's it. But he's fast enough, Robin, and has pretty decent hockey sense. Although, again, still, like, he's got to work on his gap control. He's got to work on his coverage. He's got to work on sometimes just identifying situations. Those are all rookie mistakes, though, and you have to play to learn those things. So he will. I'm a little concerned about him being partnered with Sergachev. So I don't know if I'm going to keep that one together. We'll see if it lasts. I don't know. I really might swing somebody more defensively responsible up that way.
I would like to see Sergachev Marino.
At this point, I'll put him with Cole. I'll put him with Schmidt. I'll put him with D. Simone.
I think Marino would be a nice one because Marino's a pretty good shutdown guy.
Mata's not a bad idea to partner with Sergachev, and we've seen that happen in the past.
Certainly, yeah.
Goalie Mata is a very smart, very alert player. Sergachev just jumps all the time, and he wants to do it more this year. So,
and I think what's crazy though is, and I'll point it out again, is we've seen those moments where, like, he's not taking the shot. He's not taking the shot when he should either.
Yep. Passing off some good looks, and that's not just him. That's been the whole team.
That's everybody. Yeah, that's everybody. But as an offensive defenseman, if you are a true offensive defenseman, puck moving defenseman, you sit along the blue line looking for those opportunities. You take those clappers when you can.
So, by the way, I guess my answer to the D pair switching is yes. Absolutely yes. I would be changing the D pair up. So, that's me. All right, Robin, let's talk about how we can get people registered to win a pair of tickets to go see the Mammoth at the Bruins on Sunday. Here's how we're going to do it. This is going to be a YouTube giveaway. So what we need you to do is to take a screenshot, a screen cap, whatever you need to do, and send it to us showing us your YouTube account subscribed to the Locked On Mammoth YouTube page. So we need both your username in there and that you're subscribed to Locked On Mammoth. Now, once you send that, you're going to send it to our Twitter account at Locked On Mammoth. You're going to send it there. We will confirm that we have received your submission. And again, send us a screen cap. And then we're going to enter everybody into a prize drawing to win those tickets. I will email you the tickets. So please give us a contact email and then check that email. The contest is going to end at noon on Saturday Mountain Time. So that way you got plenty of time to know if you're going to Sunday's Bruins game at 5 p.m. So noon Saturday Mountain Time is the cutoff time from whenever you see this video. Get a screen cap, Send it to us at Locked On Mammoth on Twitter with your contact email. And then please make sure you monitor that email, because if we don't hear back from you by, say, 8 p.m. on Saturday, actually, Robin, it was 6 p.m. Saturday, you want to say, if we don't hear back? Because I need to email these tickets and make sure somebody knows they're going. So if we need to pick a second winner, we're going to have to do that. I just want to make sure that we can fairly distribute these tickets. So is that fair to say between noon and 6, please check your email on Saturday to see if you won?
Between noon and 6, check your email. It's Saturday, there's
everybody's always got their phone out doom scrolling anyway. Just check your email once an hour. We'll get it to you. So
and this is a as fast of a contest as we'll ever run.
Yes, we literally are just kind of doing this. I had wanted to give this more of a run up, but we had to clear some hurdles. Hurdles cleared. So I am now able to give away the tickets for the game on Sunday. So again, screenshot, show us you're subscribed, send us your contact email at Locked On Mammoth on Twitter. And you can also find us all over the internet at Locked On Mammoth as well. But Robin, I think that'll be a good one for Sunday's game. And I hope somebody has fun and gets to go to the game. Maybe it'll be a first timer. Maybe it'll be an everydayer.
Absolutely. And if you are, just for a little bonus, for the one that does win, and if you are on Twitter, most of the time you are, if you actually are messaging us, go ahead and mention us and tag us in the photo.
Yeah, tag us in that.
Show us you get there. I would love to see. I would love to see the view of your seats.
And for a bonus, but you want brownie points with the show, get a shot with Tusky.
A Tusky and a Mammoth pretzel.
Tusky selfie. That's all I'm asking for. Whether you want the pretzel or not, that's on Robin. But I want a Tusky selfie with whoever wins. So. All right, there you go. Any questions, reach out to us on Wells on social. Robin, where can they find you on social media?
They can find me just about, everywhere. Primarily active, mostly on Twitter. You can find me there at Robin_Leaño.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks, on Twitter at Callahan on Air. And we look forward to, number one, designating a winner. But number two, hopefully we're celebrating a Friday night win over the San Jose Sharks. For Robin, I'm Tom. Thanks for joining us, as always, and being a part of Locked On Mammoth.